Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome to the Duck Talks number 34. Some Yak-15P gameplay in the background, and the questions from last Duck Talks. Numerous topics around War Thunder, many interesting ones I think I can talk about, and also one real life story, and that is about a refugee from Syria that I talked to, and it was highly interesting, to be honest. So first of all, certain questions. First comes from Mogai 1996. At Napalmratte, how often do you use the forums? I'm just wondering. Well, to be honest, I'm not really using the forums because of three reasons. First of all, it's very time intense to deal with that, to get into a topic and have to write down a proper opinion with arguments on that. I think I can do that better with a video also showcasing what I want to talk about. The next thing is that a lot of the community, or the, let's say, it seems like the hostile part of the community is concentrated on the forums, and the third part, I really don't feel like it. Like, you see, I think it also wouldn't make sense, okay? Because here I can do my fair share of, educating the War Thunder community and also bringing you fun in terms of, several different types of videos. On the forums, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I think nothing that we face in the game that is an issue, like the bomber spam, especially the T4, B-29s, BV-238s, and many more things like sparking in the past. At the moment it seems to work, and other issues. There are so many people that do a better job at the forums that I could ever do, and so I think everything already has been said, and I don't want to get into this part of War Thunder that I don't feel comfortable in. I mean, playing the game, having fun is really what I want to share with you and educating you. But to dip into the forums, many people have tried it, many people got screwed over, and then you also get backfire from the community at the forums. I really don't feel like it, and as far as I can tell, it will not change in the next few weeks, let's put it that way. And also Gaijin, well, they listen, but they don't do too much about certain topics that annoy players for years. And I don't think that I can change anything. And at YouTube I can change a little bit. I'm growing, and I just feel like this is my part. And I'm not the savior of the world, sadly. Then next question comes from Richie Moorman. What do you think of the T-34-85's battle rating? I love standing in front of them in my Panzerkampfwagen 5, bouncing their shots and blasting them to bits with a center mass shot, and they can't even pen the King Tiger H at all from the front, as far as I know. Well, first of all, I think the T-34-85 is that kind of special vehicle that just works. You drive it, you kill it, and you don't ask questions. And when you fight it against it, it can be really frustrating. Around about the T-34-85s, you have to know that it got raised in battle rating, it got nerfed in the past, and directly and indirectly. One of the indirect nerfs was the 30% armor shell interaction rule. To recap that, if a shell has a 30% higher diameter than the raw thickness of the armor that it hits, it has a massively reduced chance of bouncing. It still can, and from time to time it will, but overall that was a direct nerf to all the T-34-85s that just did those insane ricochets and bounces from so many tanks, including King Tigers and even HESH shells from Conquerors. Really fun stuff, and people forget about this. And I think, back to the battle rating, I think it's a strange thing that the T-34-85 has a lower battle rating than the Tiger. The Tiger was built like 2 years earlier, and it also, you know, the T-34-85 was specifically designed to counter the Tiger. At least the gun was. So they put the gun on that tank chassis, modified the turret ring whatsoever to make it work, and they did it because of the Tiger threat. So a vehicle that was specifically designed to counter another vehicle should never have the same or lower battle rating. And yes, that includes the Conqueror that has the same battle rating as the IS-3 now, which is complete nonsense. Now I have to speak in this case in the defense of the IS-3, and we also see many cases in planes, you know, or where planes then perform better than their actual counterparts and the other way around. So it's a bit weird. Now the battle rating, I think the T-34-85 is a bit difficult to counter, but first of all, T-34-85 can kill Panther and the other way around. And then there is the next part that, you know, many vehicles at lower battle rating have difficulties with the King Tiger H. But at the same time, if you say that, for example, the IS-6 is fine, I also can say, well, you always could shoot at the cupola of the King Tiger H. It's as fair as fighting an IS-6 with a King Tiger, you know. It's possible. How likely it is, that's up to you. I stated my opinions often enough in various different videos, and I stand by that. And it's funny that certain people, you know, just do videos up to an hour long shooting at the IS-6 where like 60% of shots, you know, aimed at certain weak spot areas don't penetrate, and they claim, see, it's fine, 30 to 40% still penetrate, you know, with a tank that doesn't move, doesn't fire back, and it's just a bot, and you have the clean shots with fully upgraded tanks. That's not really arguing in the right way, because then I just could, you know, do the same with the mouse and say, look, it's a pathetically bad tank. But on the other hand, if you have a competent player in it, you know, it's always how likely is it? Can you abuse it? And in this case, I have to say the T-34-85's battle rating is way too low. Okay, because just think about this. There are so many other tanks like the STA-1, the STA-2, and even certain patents that I would just simply, you know, not drive, because I think they are not that highly competitive, unlike the T-34-85s with which you can wreck entire enemy teams. Nowadays, yes, the T-34-85 got indirectly and directly nerfed and raised in battle rating like a long time ago, and before that it was, you know, very strong tank, and still is a very strong tank, but now it can be killed more reliable, which is good, because, you know, 90% win rate in the initial parts of War Thunder for T-34s. Hey, you know, obviously just idiots drive German tanks, which is another part, you know, that the community just has to think about. The amount of insult, and you are noob because you play this, and you suck at this, and I have a better kill to death ratio, and so on. It's, you know, you're missing the point of the game, which is fun. You know, just remember that. Yeah, so there's that. Next question comes from Gev019. Napalm, can you make a video on how to use Leopard? I don't think I'm super good player or anything, but it is really frustrating how I do much better in the Tiger 2105 at 8.0 than with the Leopard. First of all, I answered that I made a review on the A1A1, and I think I mentioned the playstyle, but I also have to talk about the stock performance. And yes, the Leopard, it's worth talking a minute about it. The stock Leopard is highly frustrating. No real armor, no survivability. The gun is just horrible with the never-ending unreliability of the stock APDS shell. you know, again, I love APDS. For example, on the 20 pounder, it's borderline overpowered. But on the L7, I just don't like the L7. It's just heat FS or not heat FS. And then with heat FS, you know, it's just, ooh, look at my skill. You know, it's just the high tier meta. I think, you know, having APHE shell is just a key in War Thunder, and I think it's good because APHE, you know, if a big shell enters your tank with a you know, above 100 grams of TNT equivalent filling in a closed fighting compartment, it should do massive damage. Not so much to certain modules, but definitely to the crew. So yeah, and then the APDS, that it doesn't shatter, or that it doesn't disintegrate in the fighting compartments of enemy tanks, is just ridiculous. And you always get one-shotted in return. And the stock Leopard is just so ridiculously slow. It's just disgusting. I'm sorry, but the stock Leopard is one of the worst tanks that you can drive, in my opinion, if you want to have fun. You know, many people say the opposite, and I would love to have their kind of, you know, experience that they claim that they have, but I doubt it very much. If you pay for, you know, the heat FS, you're fine. If not, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, yes, you can kill vehicles with APDS. Yes, you can kill vehicles with hash. Yes, you can lay an ambush. However, how likely is it? Yeah, and if somebody is pushing you, you know, a T10M, and you make that one strange bounce, or where you shoot the lower plate straight head on, and the APDS just disappears after killing just the driver, and he blows you apart by hitting you with the APHE shell anywhere, well, the Leopard stock is frustrating, and I know how you feel about the 10.5 centimeter King Tiger. It's so much fun if you blast something apart. Then Professor Yackington asked, why are you calling it fake elitism? That was the title of last week's Duck Talks. What does that even mean? Elitism is nothing but an attitude. If you were to call that fake, it would mean that the attitude is distinctious and as in a joke. Well, first of all, you're partially right, because it was not just fake elitism that I complained about, but also elitism. So elitism is, oh, I'm so much better than you because I play a different game mode. Big news, everybody. Just because you play a different mode doesn't make you a better player. And I think fake elitism is then when those players, you know, don't even know what they're talking about because they haven't played arcade in a very long time. And believe me, arcade has changed since the beginning of War Thunder, like has realistic. And then, you know, there is people just arguing against their own arguments. Or, you know, argumenting, let's put it that way. And they just don't even realize it. So they are not very good at what they're doing, not very good at the game, still claim that they are automatically better, and then also a lot of trolls go into this discussion, you know, just trying to heat up the discussion, maybe even starting it. And those are then also fake elitism people. And it plays together, so the title was a bit short, you know. Elitism, fake elitism, and trolls and all that should have been the title, maybe. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Then the next question comes from Frost Theos. Napalmratte, can you try API for the Russian jets and see if it can replace the FI round on the 23s? Well, I kind of played around with it, especially on the Yak-15P. I played with the thought of just using the stealth belts, but I'm not confident enough in my leading skills. The thing is, it always depends with which shell you hit which part of the enemy plane. And again, the 23s, I think they still underperform a little bit. And API rounds, I think for head-ons are great, and especially if you hit engines and fuel tanks. In theory, how high the fire chances, I can't tell, but yeah. Then what playstyle would you recommend for the FV 4202 is the questions from Geriatrics. Well, I tried it playing at both 6.7 and 5.7, but I can't reliably get good games. The FV4202 is the tank with the 20 pounder without APDS, if I remember correctly. The funny thing is, this tank overall is not as good in my opinion as the Centurion Mark 1 with APDS. It doesn't have the reverse gear, it's a bit too sluggish. Again, as I answered in short, long range hull down, but again, you don't have the situations too much in War Thunder. Overall, this tank has its strengths, but overall, it's not the very best. Then Christian Rotenbuchner, I hope that's it. You're from Germany and therefore I pronounced it right. Can you say me if the Tau 154 can still destroy KI tanks in air realistic or not? I tried it the last few days in certain situations, and at least the MK108 can't do it anymore with the night fighter ammunition, and that is, you know, a good indicator that it doesn't work anymore. Although I have no idea if it would work with air targets from the MK103's 30mm. So now I have to hurry with the questions, I guess. First of all, Ellen Luca asks, what do you think about how spotting works in arcade battles? I think you're talking here about tanks, and I think in IEB it is nowadays too much dependent on your crew skills, and also, you know, experience makes a big impact on you knowing how it works, and I don't really like it. I guess in the early days of War Thunder with practically unlimited spotting range, where you spotted enemies all the time, it was better, but nowadays it tends to go too close to wall of tanks or armored warfare spotting mechanics for comfort. Then if Ru 251 is better at 8.0, Type 62 is better at 6.7 or 8.0. Well, I think the big difference between both is that the Type 62 does have APHE and the RU-251 is missing that shell type. I think it's historically accurate that it doesn't have it, but you know, that is the big difference. At 8.0 the tanks have less overall survivability, and with the heat shell you can go through most tanks from the front anyway. Again, I don't like the RU-251 that much, and it's also difficult to place in whatever. Then Koza asks, when are you streaming? Well, if I have good internet and more time again. So I think that's it for the question part of War Thunder. Let's continue with the actual topics after 18 minutes. Let's make it a quick rundown. First of all, I'm getting really into chats lately, as you could see with my content, and I'm liking a little bit the tank content, but I think I need to take a break from tanks for a few days to get back my interest in it. I had to play too much Japanese tanks and they really have worn out my interest lately, so maybe again a few lower tier tanks to bring back my interest. Maybe some Russian tanks, you know, to get back to the balanced side. I also got no good footage whenever I tried it. I was just like, I have to play it. And, you know, this is not what I want to present you. I want to present you the games that I have fun in. Then I also had no good internet lately. I now fixed it partially. It's much better than the days before, but I had good matches and suddenly internet was gone. Just for a few seconds, but you know, good enough to throw me out of the match, and that's highly frustrating. So overall, a short summary about the chat so far. The Americans, you really have to abuse your speed. Then the British, use your kind of middle ground. And for the Germans, again, try to get up to speed. You can partially compete with the Americans. And for the Russians, the MiG-9 Light is just really great. But the really dope plane is the Me-262 A2A. I love this thing. It's now more or less upgraded. It's fantastic fun, and the 30mm work. It's so much fun. But again, it's upgraded. Stock jets are not very enjoyable. I think I haven't come across a single stock jet that was fun, except the bombers, like the Arado, the C3 variant, you know, air start R2Y2s. You know, we don't have to continue talking. And yeah, again, I think I played in the past the R28, which just felt dirty as all hell. But you kind of get the thing. Then the next big topic is Italy. Yeah, so what? I think Italy will be a great addition to War Thunder, the first nation in, what was it, 4 years? Or over 4 years now? And I think I'm really looking forward to it. First come planes, and then I'm really looking forward to the tanks. There was one tank that I have in memory that I really want to see implemented right. And when I played this game Blitzkrieg 2, it was fun to play this Italian tank. Yeah, but again, if you know, if other nations like, for example, France gets included, they will have not just the tech tree, like to the point where France got invaded or got occupied by the Germans, but it's getting a bit, you know, weird when then you suddenly have to face French tanks with the Germans, for example, that never were there. I think the Second World War feeling gets a little bit lost at lower tiers, not just tier 5 where it's, you know, obviously post-war, but at tier 4, you know, with the introduction of the Japanese, it kind of got lost, but no, not so many people are playing Japanese tanks, just saying that. Then the Katyusha event. Oh boy, Gaijin, you nailed it. Now, for all of you that missed it, you had a few days of logging in, and you could activate a code every day for the BM824 or MB, I don't know, doesn't matter. And you could play it for 1 hour in some sort of test drive, either in regular battles or in an event. And your task was to get 5 kills, and then you unlocked yourself this beautiful rocket launcher. And yeah, I haven't played it so far. I have tried out the rockets in a test drive. They are very powerful, and I think that it was practically for free was just, you know, good. And 5 kills, I mean, yes, if you had bad luck and you had 4 kills after 4 kill scans, it was deeply frustrating, but you had several days for it, 1 hour per day. There was a special event, so nobody really could complain about it, right? So I think thumbs up for Gaijin at this point, you know. I'm really impressed. I did not really expect something like this. Then a common question is this 07. What does this mean? Well, it's practically saluting your teammates, and if you type it in all chat for all, it means that you also salute the enemy team. Always good before you shoot them down, you know, it shows sportsmanship. So yeah, I think this also triggers some lighter playstyle overall for all the people. Then yeah, again, in chat matches and prop matches, B29s and TU4s on so many maps, you just can't physically intercept them before they drop their bombs and win the game by that. And that's just something that hasn't been fixed for it's approaching nearly a year, you know. I mean, several fixes were done, but they did not really help. You know, it's instant win. I think the only reason why Gaijin really doesn't fix it is the reason because if it's just about winning the game, you could activate golden battle wagers, and then Gaijin would, you know, feel the impact because they have statistics about everything. But this seems to be alright, you know, just winning. But you need a kill for golden battle wagers, so there is that. I have to also say that the video interests overall were down. So every video that I make, the response is great, and hey, you're doing a hell of a job. I like it, I love it, it's good, you know. and that's nice. But overall, the views go down, and yeah, there is this kind of problem with the revenue programs and so on. I don't even earn enough money to cover my energy costs, and that's just laughable. So, thumbs down for YouTube. Thank you very much. I said it enough. You can't make really a living out of YouTube. Yes, I'm a relatively small channel and so on, but still, I think it should be a bit more for the effort that I do. Now, how can you help me? Actually, at the moment, not at all. I mean, to make a difference, I need, like, I think I calculated it through 50,000 subscribers, 60,000, something like that, and I'm far from it. I mean, the competition on YouTube for subscribers is great and all that stuff, and what I'm doing is not that special. It's good, I know it, people love it, but I'm not. I think I'm lacking the clickbaiting, but I think that's enough. Then we come finally to the part where I talk to the refugee. So by coincidence, I had to deal with a refugee, and while I was working, I asked him a lot of questions and so on, and he went to Germany in 2015, and I'm not mentioning any names of that, and I had a lot of questions, how he sees the things through his eyes and what he had to suffer through in Syria, because he is a Syrian refugee. And the thing was, in Syria he actually studied architecture, and for architecture you need a calm hand to draw, to draw the houses and so on, and calculate it through and so on. And when he actually went in Syria, the protests against Assad began, he said. Those are his words, and he said, well, the people had no weapons and they were unarmed, and suddenly the military shot at the civilians and so on. And I asked him, so it's not so everything that the German media said is true? And he said yes, and he said furthermore that at his university the professor said, well, it's no longer safe here, so don't come to university anymore. And then he went home, and then the Syrian soldiers spotted him at 500 meters. They opened fire, and he got a shot in both arms, and since then he can't draw anymore in that necessary precision, so now he has to study something else. And also the rest of his family is still back in Syria, and he had a mobile phone, and he was texting with them all the time while I had to work. And that was really showing me that those people are just like us. I mean, you also write people if you're not with them, don't you? And if you're ripped apart your family, I mean, they probably sent him for good money into Germany. And the thing is, he saw a lot of advantages coming to Germany in particular. Other countries were just not that attractive, and I understand this, if you think about it. I mean, you also could go to France, and a lot of refugees wanted to go to France, and the same goes for England, but he wanted to come to Germany. And he was very thankful that actually he got accepted here, more or less. The problem is that there is not a lot of interaction. And funnily enough, he also said that he finds it very, what's the right word? Annoying that it is so easy to just get a false Syrian passport. And also how he was treated on his journey here. So in Germany it's alright, but in the eastern parts of Europe he was not treated so well, and there is a lot of mafia going on, stealing from the refugees and so on. So it was really a little bit of a heartbreaking story, and that is reality. Fun fact, and this is the end of practically his story. Um, Now he tries to study something else in Germany and then get back to life basically. So finally, some words from me to the political situations. Do you know, to state a political opinion in on the internet is always highly controversial. But let me just say this: I love wargamings. Or war games in general, you know, to shoot and, you know, kill other people, tanks and planes. That's just nice, you know. But that's on the PC. I'm practically just changing the color of some pixels, you know, from time to time. That's all I'm doing. Nobody really gets hurt except my mouse and my keyboard, but that's another story. In all honesty, real war is always shit and disgusting, no doubt about that. And I don't want war, especially in our times. And we should learn from wars from the past. And, you know, if you think about the Third Reich, no ideology, no thinking, no logical explanation ever could justify industrial mass murder on people. This is not how it works. Same goes for the Soviet Union and the British with their bombing. As I said, there was not really any country that was completely innocent in the Second World War or after the Second World War. You know, attack, retaliation. War is just disgusting. Keep that in mind and think twice about it. And then we had some good news that Marine Le Pen was not elected as president of France. And I'm normally, you know, having just dreams about King Tigers and E100s, but I really had one nightmare, and that was, you know, she got elected and rips apart Europe, and then, you know, looking into the future 20 years and we all start from scratch again, you know, insulting and attacking each other. The economy went down because what we have in Europe, despite its flaws, is better than we had for, you know, more than 2-3,000 years. We have the longest peacetime, I guess, since a long time. And, you know, overall the majority of people are having now a better time that the same sort of people would have like 100 years ago or 200 years ago. So just think about that. Not everything is bad. It's like, if you complain about the situation, you know, you also have to think for a moment about the good parts of, for example, the government or the country or city you're living in. And many people just simply forget it because the good things they always think are granted. But that's not the case. And, you know, I'm not the oldest person out here. I'm not the most educated person out there. But please keep that in mind, you know. Just think about it. Just look for the good sides. And I'm not saying, oh, that's good, so now every part of criticism has to become... No. If something is bad, it has to be changed. But don't think like, you know, screwing over the entire system will improve the situation for anybody by default. That's not the case. Yeah, then I have also a few questions. What do you think about the World War mode? I think we haven't heard a lot in a few weeks. Then what about Enduring Confrontation? Was it really just a test for the World War mode? And ship tests on weekend, maybe? I hope so. Or what about a dev server? You know, my dev server client saw a few updates lately. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope to have satisfied your need for me rambling around. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the Yak-15P gameplay in the background. It was surprisingly fun to a certain degree, I have to say. Yeah, please give this video a like if you did, share your opinion in the comment section, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.